Okay, here we go again. John Burton with you, and I'm going to talk to you about leadership and fulfilling your ministry. I wrote an article on this yesterday, and I'd encourage you to check it out. The title of the article is Be the Buzz, a practical guide on how to follow your leader and fulfill your ministry. You can go check that out at johnburton.net and go to the articles, and you can read it there. But let's talk about it right now. Whenever I talk about leadership, it tends to be a provocative topic because people have all sorts of different ideas on leadership, on what that looks like, how do we step into our calling and these types of things. And it's a very intriguing topic of discussion. I'd encourage you to send me emails and share with me what you think about this. But what I want to hit on specifically regarding leadership is the idea that we are all called to step into some crazy, powerful ministry. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. My DNA is marked by a wild and crazy desire to see people come alive and to step into their callings and to step into their ministries. You know, we see here at Revival Church and at the lab, that's a part of our culture where it's very easy for me to see the golden people, to see God's calling on their lives. And I love it. Come on, man. When God is Jesus died for these people, not just so that they could go to heaven, but so they could live this remarkable life and they could fulfill the calling on their life, and they could start walking according to the very reason they're alive. And I love that. In the lab, we see all types of people come and just be rocked by God and have this revelation of, whoa, man, I am created for way more than I realize. And so I love that. And so on the flip side, it disturbs me when people are not able to step into their callings. They're not able to flow in power and freedom and to shock the world and set the captives free. And so I wanted to put together something very practical on why is it that some people are not able to step into their ministry. I'm going to address this from the context of the local church. And God establishes, we know, apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, evangelists to equip, to raise up, to teach, to do the work of the church. And so what happens is there's a lot of struggle in people's hearts regarding leadership, because many of them, and I've met a lot of these people, they find themselves stagnating, and in their mind it's because leadership won't empower them, or leadership won't embrace them, or leadership won't enable them, and sometimes that's the case. Sometimes, though, it's not the case. And so I wanted to share something just very practical for you, and so you can understand, well, why is it maybe that you're not stepping into leadership? And there's some really good reasons. First of all, we need to understand that God does establish all authority. So we can't assume just to step into authority if we don't know how to come under authority. We can't assume to step into our ministry if we are not submitted to leadership. It just won't happen, you know. And I wrote a book on this titled Covens in the Church, where it's all about the body's responsibility to leadership. I also wrote a book titled Pharaoh in the Church, which is the leadership's responsibility to the body. And so it works both ways, but we just can't eliminate leadership. We can't eliminate authority. We've got to understand that. Now, here at Revival Church, it is a challenging environment. And so and I've got some of the most amazing, remarkable leaders at Revival Church and at the lab. And so if people can follow this crazy guy's leadership, I'm not a pastor, I'm a prophet, apostle type of a guy. And so if people can follow my leadership in this strange environment, certainly in a more typical church setting, you can follow the leadership of your pastor. And so just as a quick example of Revival Church, you know, for example, we're an apostolic and prophetic church. And so things are changing all the time, and it takes quite a special person to be able to keep pace with what we're doing. I mean, we're shifting and adjusting, and so as a prophetic ministry, as an apostolic ministry, we're establishing, we're building, we're developing. We've got this vision of planting 50 churches in the Detroit region and many others in other areas of the world. And so we're already we're making great progress in that area. But that's an example of how it's a high intensity environment. By design, Revival Church isn't a pastor-led church. I'm not a pastor. And so that changes everything. So we've got people, under my leadership and in the church that, they're not going to get typical pastor stuff from me. And so it's an added challenge. Again, we're prophetic ministry. So now what does that look like? People have got to develop in a new way, and they've got to grow more intentionally, and it's happening. It works great, but it's a challenging environment. We have a very high bar of commitment. We are unapologetic about that. We believe that the 24/7 church is emerging, where we're going to be going hard in kingdom business together most every day of the week. And so just some examples of what this looks like. Another example, we're building Revival Church, but we're not anywhere near maturity there, but we're still developing other ministries. I'm planting another church. Others are planting churches out of here. There's different things that are going on. And so even while our initial work is still being developed, we're not just focused there. So it's a crazy environment. I just wanted to give you an idea of what Revival Church is like. And so if people can survive and thrive in this environment, you can thrive in the environment God's placed you in. Okay? Won't spend a lot of time at this, but there are some points that will absolutely help you as you position yourself for promotion, where you're able to step into your ministry, where you don't find yourself just frustrated because you're overlooked by leadership. And by the way, you just need to understand that God does establish authority, and God will use authority to promote you, to enable you, to equip you to do these types of things. And it honestly does. This is a practical teaching. This is not necessarily about what you think is right or wrong. This is reality. If we do not respond rightly in the context that God has placed us in the local church, if we don't respond rightly to leadership, then we will be overlooked, and there's good reason for that. So number one, understand the vision of your pastor. Know what that is, frontwards and backwards. Have it. If you don't have clarity, talk to him, ask him, what is the vision? What are we going after? And then when you understand it, sign up for the vision. Go after it hard. Let everybody know about the vision of your church. Spread the word. Be a proponent. Be a cheerleader of that vision, but know it well. So you don't divert from it. It's very, very important that you know the vision well, so you don't unwittingly start moving in an opposite direction. Number two, don't attempt to tweak the vision. Okay, it's very tempting to do that where we see the vision. Now understand this, vision by design is limited. And it's so often you hear this, it's like, well, I see the vision of the church there and I see what they're doing, and boy, they're not doing this and they're not doing this and they're missing that and they're missing that and they're not. That's by design. Most of the time, that is by design. And because, for example, we as a prophetic ministry, by design, we are not attempting to be a pastoral ministry, okay? And so are we lacking in pastoral strength in our church? Yes, we are. Also, we are not attempting to have the entire fivefold ministry in our local church. And some people think, well, wait a minute, what's that? We're supposed to have that. Well, biblically, the church is defined not locally, but it's defined by the city. So we have the church at Ephesus, for example. So we have the church of Detroit. So the fivefold ministry does not need to be active at Revival Church, but it does need to be active in Detroit. So what that means is, as a prophetic apostolic flavor or an expression of the fivefold ministry, we've got people that are running hard with us, but then also they'll tap into other churches and other ministries around here that help them pastorally, that help them in other ways. And so, really important. Don't tweak the vision. Don't presume that your leader, that your pastor is just missing it, that he's confused, that he's off base. And you need to tweak the vision. Somehow, some way, God has called you into the church to be the eyes and the ears, right? And so you tell the pastor everything that's wrong, And so now you want to tweak the vision and make it according to what you think it should be. And not to say there can't be dialogue. I love dialogue. I love talking about vision. And so there can certainly be dialogue, because sometimes there are gaps and sometimes there are things that we're not picking up on. So talk to your pastor. Say, hey, did you notice that the pastoral part of this thing here isn't working that great? And then the pastor, if it was me, I'd say, well, I know that's actually by design. We're doing it intentionally. And, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Well, let me share with you, and let's talk about this, and so you can understand. So now in that scenario, you're not going to try to tweak the vision, presuming something's wrong. You're going to understand that, okay, this ministry is running in this certain direction intentionally. Okay? Number 3, don't try to fit your vision into your leader's vision. And so if you carry something and you're showing up on the scene and now you want to add your vision to your leader's vision, sometimes it works. Sometimes God will bring something from the outside, or oftentimes actually. And for example, we have someone in our church that is just huge into flagging and creative arts, and I would not have ever said that is the core of my vision at Revival Church, but I love it. It enhances and supports and empowers the vision at Revival Church. So this particular leader, she just goes strong with that and has my full support. However, on the flip side, there are other things that people might bring, and they really want us to embrace that too. Well, that sometimes just doesn't happen. And so don't just presume that because you're on the scene that God led you there so you can add your vision to the vision of the house. Not always the case. And you can get really frustrated if you think your vision is supposed to be embraced when it's simply not, or at least maybe not in this season, or not in the way that you think. And you can get frustrated and disgruntled, and all sorts of bad things happen. And so the idea is support your leader's vision. Know what your leader's vision, and don't try to tweak it, and don't try to add to it. And don't try to remove or take away from it. Okay? The next one here, resolve problems. For my leaders, I don't want them bringing me problems. I want them bringing me resolutions. In fact, when someone is known for recognizing and highlighting problems to me, it's an indicator that they are not ready for leadership. Generals don't report problems without taking on the responsibility to take care of business. And so it's not that we can't talk about problems. We do that all the time. But I want solutions. Leaders bring solutions. Leaders don't introduce problems. And it's, sometimes we think that it's a special spiritual gift where we can identify problems. It's not a gift at all. It's just because we can see things. Well, the call is to resolve the problem. Okay. Next one, don't have false expectations. My leader should be doing fill in the blank. Don't do that. There are many things people want their leaders to spearhead or to give attention to, but it's not his place to do so. I often hear people come to me with great ministry ideas, and I almost always place the ball back in their court and encourage them to make it happen. It's not your leader's job to run with your vision. Okay? Really, really important. Let me read this. Expect your leader to fulfill his function and his vision, not the function you want him to, or even the function that desperately needs to be filled by someone else. Just because there's a great need with nobody to meet it doesn't mean it defaults to your leader. And so don't bring these problems to your leader. Don't have false expectations. Don't just presume that he's supposed to be doing things just because you think he's supposed to be doing things. Leave that up to him. Okay? And a lot of times, especially in smaller churches, there's going to be a lot of needs that go unmet. And that's just the way it goes. You can't artificially create answers to problems. There has to be a legit God-given plan of action, and sometimes that doesn't include your leader. Next one, champion your leader's cause. This is huge if you want to be received by leadership. Now remember, this is all about stepping into promotion. I'm looking for those that are championing my vision, the thing that God's given me to do. If you want to be received by leadership and experience on-time promotion, you must champion your leader's cause. The alternative is to be apathetic to your leader's cause or to be a threat to your leader's cause. You need to be the champion. You need to be the one that's running hard, that's doing everything you can do to ensure that the vision is fulfilled. Again, know your leader's vision inside and out, and refuse to promote any competing viewpoint. This is why knowing vision is important. You have to champion the vision, not the other stuff, not pet doctrines, not your own perspectives. Champion the vision, because remember, if you're running the race with your leader, if you are Joshua to Moses, if you're the one that's running with the leader, you simply have to be a champion. You have to be one that's running with him, not running contrary to him. That's very, very important. And like I said, my eyes are on those that are I can't say the word, championing the vision of the house, because it's very, very important. I'm very protective of that vision because God gave it to me to steward. Okay. The next one is, I could spend an entire year teaching on this. One of the greatest irritants. In fact, it's one of the things God hates the most. Don't ever, 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 ever gossip. And I am shocked that there's so much confusion about this issue in the church. You do not have the right to discuss frustrations, disagreements, or negative analysis of your church with anybody in the entire world except your leader. My wife and I, we don't even presume that because we're married that it gives us the right to gossip. This is huge. The question is, the way to analyze it is the person being talked about, would they be blessed or troubled by your conversation? Okay? And, someone said, well, what if people are sharing about it? Don't use the word sharing. You're gossiping. It's gossip. You cannot gossip. It's vile. It's witchcraft. It's manipulation. Gossip is actually revenge. When we don't get what we want, we try to gather people to ourselves. It's an Absalom spirit. And we point out the weaknesses of the leader, and we gather other people around that also see the weakness. And we gossip. And it divides the camp. Don't ever, ever gossip. My leader in Colorado, people would come to him with their concerns, with prayer points, right? And what he would do is he would never receive it, would never listen to it, would never have that sympathetic ear, and would take them by their hand to me. And guess what? People stopped going to him to gossip. Okay? We can never be a person that gossips. Don't ever receive people's complaints. Do not even listen to their frustration unless the person being talked about is in the room. It blows my mind. Stop and think. Who out there, raise your hand if you've been hurt by gossip? Yet we still do it. Simply cannot do it. It's a significant threat to the mission, and it wounds a lot of people. Stand firm and communicate without apology the vision of the church. Let them know the vision is not up for debate. Be a great defender of your leaders, okay, and of the vision. Next one, be faithful. I don't look for people with great giftings. I look for faithfulness. And this is massive. It's a big point here. Giftings certainly are important, but I'm telling you what, I look for faithfulness. The ones in our ministry that get promoted and are acknowledged and favored are those that are simply faithful. You just can depend on them. We need to have we're raising up people to be senior leaders, have a senior leader mindset. For me, I can't show up late to church. I can't decide to skip church. I can't be flaky. I can't be apathetic. I can't slow down. I've got to be faithful. I've got to be committed, and I've got to follow through. Okay. Next one. This is a good one. Openly respond. Openly respond. What does that mean? When your pastor is teaching, or he's casting vision, or he's addressing the crowd, support him. Shout amen. Be on the edge of your seat. Openly respond. Go after the vision. Let people know that you are fully in support of what he's doing. Don't be texting during church. Don't Facebook. Don't be disengaged. Don't be talking to people. Really, come on. Be at the edge of your seat. Model to everybody around that you are honoring your leader and that you're fully on board. I've shared this previously. One of my favorite worship leaders is Catherine Mullins. Check out her ministry if you haven't yet. She's a good friend of mine. But my favorite part of her ministry is not her worship leading. It's the moment she steps off the stage. She doesn't disengage. She doesn't go and do her own thing. She sits on the front row and she is involved more than anybody else in the church usually, and she is standing up and she's shouting amen, and she's engaged, and she's got her Bible open, and she's, she's involved, and it's powerful. It sets the tone for the whole place. And so openly respond, be a visible support. Next one, address him and his wife with respect. This is one that I wrestle with. I'm not a huge fan of titles. I think we can get really goofy with them, where we are prideful and and we give ourselves our own identity, and we expect people to respect us. And come on, leaders, we can't do that. We have no right to presume upon anybody that they have to do anything, right? In terms of controlling them to do so. We can cast vision for sure, and we can raise that bar, and we can have high expectations. But in terms of control and forcing people to honor us, that's ridiculous. It's embarrassing, actually, to the church. And so I wrestle with the title thing, but I also understand the value in it. I really do. And to further complicate it, I'm not a pastor. So when people call me Pastor John, it's not really accurate. But I'll tell you this, for people to call me Pastor John feels a lot more right than for them just to call me John in the context of the church, even though I don't on a personal level care at all. But there's something healthy that comes to the structure of the church when there's honor. It'd be more accurate for people to call me Apostle John or Prophet John. I don't know. I know what happens out there. For me right now, it's a little strange, and I don't want any weirdness attached to the ministry, but maybe I just need to get over it. What do you think? But the bottom line, respect your leaders. Honor them. And I'm not saying this because I want people to honor me. The greatest critique, that the critics throw out there is that you are expecting people to do these things, and you're forcing them to respect you, and leaders shouldn't do that. And I'm not doing that. People that know me, they know my heart. I just don't do that. But the challenge for me is I'm called to teach on the topic. I have to teach on this. So as a leader, it might feel a little bit self-serving, and that's why most leaders don't talk about this. And, I think I'm just wired in such a way where, I love you, but I don't care about your analysis of my heart in this matter, because I know what the condition of my heart is. I know that it's right. I'm not seeking out accolades, or I'm not forcing people to follow me, and so I'm risking critical discussions for the sake of freedom, because as we can do this well, the whole culture of the church is healthier. So by all means, respect your leaders. Honor him on his birthday. Honor his wife on her birthday. Pastor's Appreciation Day. Anniversaries. Just honor. Just create that culture. And because I'm telling you what, man, if the leaders that I know, they are investing every ounce of themselves into the church, and I just think that they're worth it. Okay. Next one. Understand that you can disqualify yourself for leadership for a season. Just like a driver's license isn't a right, it's a privilege. Leadership's a right. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And so, what people don't understand is, well, wait a minute, why do I keep getting looked over for ministry? There's a lot of reasons. Some, of course, the obvious sin issues that can disqualify you for ministry. But I'm talking about even other things that are just the way you present yourself. A lot of the stuff we've already talked about. Are you cheerleading the vision? Do you buy into the vision? Are you not? Are you more of a thorn in the flesh? Are you someone that's holding up the arms of your leadership? There's reasons. And when I say disqualified, I don't mean by God disqualifying you. I mean in the local context where you are. The pastor's just going to overlook you because you're not presenting yourself in such a way where he can entrust ministry to you. Because what happens is when we put leaders into position, I'm risking that. Because now there's other people out there that are going to be impacted by the person I put into leadership, either positively or negatively. And so, as an example, if I ever hear about gossip, people need to know that they're disqualified for ministry at Revival Church, at least for a season. Most of the time I won't tell them unless it's a really serious issue where it has to be dealt with just because it's detrimental to the church. But if I pick up on even low level murmurs, while I might address it, I might not. But bottom line is, I know that I'm not going to be able to put that person into leadership anytime really soon until they're able to deal with that. Now, of course, I love talking to people about that for the sake of their own development. And there's a lot of grace. People that know me know there's grace. I'm not sitting there with a big old nasty thumb or a hammer. There's grace. We're going to live life together. We're going to grow together. We're going to honor one another. But in terms of leadership, it's not a right, it's a privilege. And if you're not able to deal with the very low level, 101 level issue of gossip, if you can't even break through that, you're not ready for leadership. And so you can disqualify yourself from leadership. And there's a lot of different things, that I look at. I'm watching. I'm continually watching, and I'm listening. Listen. This might seem unfair, but I have a sobriety about me, and if I'm seeing on Facebook someone is not their posts or something that are detrimental. There's evidence right there. I can't put you into leadership right yet, right? And so there's things that you can do if you're murmuring, if you're apathetic, if you're constantly late, if you're not showing up, if you're not communicating, if you're on and on and on. Because there are marks of leadership. You've got to pass these tests if you're going to be a leader. And so you can disqualify yourself from leadership, but that's called the school of life. We just need to learn how to grow through that. And that's one thing at Revival Church. People love to grow through issues because there is a lot of grace. Next thing, almost done. Don't require your leader to say things twice. For me, I watch this. If I share something and I'm watching who jumps and responds as opposed to ignores it. And it's usually small stuff. And don't presume just because it's small that it's irrelevant or it's not important. It is important. For example, in the lab, day one, we share with everybody that part of the culture is that we show up on time. And we have a saying that early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. And so we set the pace. And I'm watching from day one. And those who follow through from beginning of the session to the end, the whole 3 months, and of course there's grace for emergencies, but as they're responding rightly to that, and I don't have to keep casting that vision. Come on, guys, show up on time. Come on, guys. The one that's just not making me repeat it, they're on my leadership radar. Okay. So don't make him say things twice. Be the one that just outperforms. Undergird him. Next one here. Undergird him more than you pull on him. Be the support. Hold his arms up. Don't be the one that you're constantly pulling on him. Of course, there are times when the leader is going to help you and be there for you all the time. But you need to be the one to make it easy for him to lead. I think a lot of people presume that leaders need to make it easy for people to follow. I don't agree. Leaders are calling people into the greatest challenge to ever face them. They're calling them into their destiny. They're calling them to go places that they would never go on their own. So leaders are actually making it harder for people to live their lives, not easier. And so make it easy for your pastor to lead you. Make it exceptionally easy. Don't be a burden on him. Be a lifter of burdens, okay? Love, honor, and pray for him. I've got some people that communicate all the time with me, how they're praying for me, things that they're seeing. They're communicating with me Sunday nights before service. They're praying for me. Really, really important. Next one, don't use the church for your own ministry platform. I learned this a long time ago. I went to a church 20 some years ago and I was excited. I was stepping into some ministry there a little bit and thought that'd be a great place to launch my ministry out of. And was sitting in a meeting one day. It just blew me up. I had no idea that this was even coming. But in this staff meeting, I was humiliated. The pastor said to everybody there, didn't even look at me as he was talking. He said, John Burton, it will not be, is not now, nor will ever be considered for youth leadership here in this church. And then he went on to other business. And I'm thinking, what in the world was that? Well, the reason was, and I didn't even realize that I was a young guy, but I was instead of being there to enhance the pastor's vision and to support it, I was there to leech off of them so I could establish my own ministry. And so be careful about that. Grow intentionally on your own. Show up hot, on fire, full of the Word, full of the fire of the Holy Spirit. Don't be continually lagging behind. Be the leader. Okay. Financially invest in the vision. Go beyond the tithe. I mean, when projects come up, be the first one to give. Refuse to take on offense. You will never survive in ministry if you get offended, ever. Right? We've got to be. We can't be afraid of critical responses. We can't be afraid of people saying things and doing things. Don't take on offense. Don't take on other people's offense. Okay. Next, model expected behavior. At Revival Church, We have expectations, be it pre-service prayer, be at the altars before service starts, to lead in intercession, be on time, communicate, these types of things. And for me, the leaders that I'm focusing on are those that are modeling the behavior that I don't have to repeat twice. I'm casting the vision, getting it out there, they're modeling it, and they are carrying the weight of the ministry. Okay. Next one, be a long timer. Don't be a short timer. Be a covenant person. Let your pastor know that I'm here through thick and thin. I'm not going to just bail on you when things start going in different directions. It's huge. There's too much a distraction out there and disruption and people moving in and out, not staying focused. And of course, they have all their reasons for not, which that doesn't really hold any water most of the time. Stay locked in. And then the last one, be the buzz. That's what the article's titled. Be the buzz. Be the most visible, radical, exuberant cheerleader for your church. Here at the lab, people are at Revival Church in the lab. They're talking about the lab. They cast the vision about the lab. They can't stop talking about the lab on Facebook and Twitter. They're talking about it. Be the buzz. Be the one that's continually communicating. And again, for leaders, I look at those that are being the buzz. They're communicating. They're casting vision. They're doing things Monday through Saturday, instead of just showing up on Sunday. And so these are just some, I wanted to be a little raw, a little practical, because a lot of times people don't understand what leaders are looking for. They don't understand, why maybe they're overlooked, for ministry, and granted, I didn't use any scripture. I could blow this up easily, but I wanted to just bullet point this, but go in the Word. I mean, look at how Joshua followed Moses. Look at leadership. Look at what it took to step in. Look at Elisha and Elijah. I mean, look at what these covenant relationships looked like. Jonathan and David and I mean, look at how did David respond to Saul? What did that look like when Saul was a bad leader? And David, how did he respond to him? So this is really, really important stuff, because I want you to step into leadership. And I want you to understand that there are legit reasons why you will be overlooked as a leader in a local church setting. But there's also a way to fast forward the process. There's a way to learn how to react to leaders. Read the book, God's Armor Bearer. Excellent book. Read A Tale of Three Kings. Read the book by John Bevere, Undercover. Read my book, Covens in the Church and Pharaoh in the Church. But there's a lot of resources out there. But I really do. Consider the lab. Come to the lab and you will be just lit up and launched into ministry as God breaks you and wrecks you and builds you up and challenges you and sets you on fire. So there's opportunities. So I want you to fulfill your ministry, and I don't want you to have to be confused about why things aren't going as planned. All right? Talk to you soon. Visit me, johnburton.net. Email me, john@johnburton.net. I would love to hear what you have to say. And again, I know I might get some emails where people are a little uptight about this whole leadership thing. You got to know my heart. You got to understand that leadership is biblical. We can't just eliminate it because we've been hurt or because there's bad leaders out there. That's not the right response. God puts leaders in our lives for a reason. Good ones and bad ones, nice ones and mean ones, smiling ones and frowning ones. And as we respond rightly to them, we will be promoted. All right, talk to you soon.